Focus on Social Security types of disability benefits. The most common is Title II disability for wage earners. You work, you become disabled, you're entitled to a benefit if you can prove the disability according to their criteria. Okay, so that's for most of you in the room. You go to work, you work with your disease, you work as long as you can, and then it gets worse and you have to stop. Now you got 2 kids at home. They're both in high school. They're entitled for benefits on your account. So if you were to get $1,000 a month, you'd get another $500 for the children, okay? If you're a mother and you have children in your care and your husband would have become disabled, if you're not working, you participate in that benefits. However, the thing is, whatever the family benefit is never more than half of the wage earner's benefit. So now we have a family of a mother and 2 kids, they would share the $500. So it doesn't hurt for the mother to work in that situation because the kids are going to get the same amount. Widowers, disability. It's important people miss the boat on this one. You're a widow, okay, and you become disabled, and you're between the ages of 50 and 60, you can collect disability based upon your husband or your wife's account, okay? Adult disabled child. This is also one that people don't know about, and they miss the boat on this. If you became disabled before age 22, once your parent qualifies to receive benefits, whether it's disability or retirement, you can receive benefits as long as you can prove your disability back. So you might be 32. We see this a lot in psychiatric cases, but you also see it in physical disability cases. You have a child who never was able to hold a job. They were in and out of mental institutions. This has been going on since they're 17, 18 years old. When they're 32, the parent qualifies for retirement benefits. Like at that point, they would qualify for adult disabled child's benefits as long as you can show the ongoing disability and they're not married. Okay, and that's frequently a benefit that is very much overlooked. SSI, I mentioned, that's for people who have a very low benefit or for people who aren't qualified for benefits at all. And child's SSI. Now this one it kind of stings a little bit because in my own experience, I have a nephew who's quadriplegic and retarded. He's a CP baby, and he never could get child's SSI because his parents' income was too high. So it's income-based. All SSI is income-based. However, a lot of people just don't have the income, and they do qualify, and it's very important that they know about that, particularly for the children. And as we go along, you'll see that when we're talking about disability, we're not talking about necessarily someone who's quadriplegic. That's just an extreme example of someone who met the medical requirements but not the financial requirements. Now, what does that mean? Well, what that essentially means is if you stop working, your disability insurance runs out 5 years after you last work. Now, does that mean if you never thought about filing for disability, you've been disabled for 6 years, you can't prove it? No, it doesn't mean that. It means you must prove disability within those 5 years. So, if you stop working and you're not disabled, and 6 years later you have an auto accident and now you're disabled, but it's outside those 5 years, you're not going to qualify. If, on the other hand, you've been disabled all along and just didn't know about it, and now we're in the 6th year, and someone says, are you getting Social Security? And you say, no, what's that? Well, at that point, you would apply, and you would be eligible for up to a year's retroactive benefits. You would have to show that you became disabled within that 5-year window. So if you can show that, even though you're not going to get all the way back, you can get up to a year's worth of retroactive benefits, even though you're outside the 5 years, as long as you prove the disability within the 5 years. Now, there's a lot of myths out there about disability, so let's go over the definition, what we call the duration requirement, because it's really key. Because one of the problems that I get is people call, they've been disabled a day, and they want benefits. And it doesn't work that way, at least not these benefits, okay? Social Security disability, everybody, is not total disability. Does not mean total disability. What it means is a long-term disability, but not a forever disability. You don't have to be disabled forever, okay? Which has lasted at a disabling level for at least 12 months. And they say, I gotta be disabled for a year, right? Or is expected to last 12 months, or result in death. Now we see a lot of conditions which are going to result in death, okay? Usually those cases don't need us, and I'll tell you why a little later. Generally we're talking cancer, and I hope nobody in the room has to deal with that. So basically in this room with scleroderma, our experience is on the A and B cases. A and B cases. A, they've been disabled for 12 months, or B, they've been hanging in there and now they stop work and the doctor says, this is serious and it's gonna be long term, okay? Doesn't mean it's hopeless, it's forever. It just means you're having a long exacerbation, okay? So the good news is it's not permanent disability. If someone says to you, you can't get disability because you don't have a permanent condition, they know what they're talking about, okay? Now, how is disability determined, okay? There's a 5-step process the government uses in Social Security cases. It's different if we're talking veterans, it's different if we're talking workers' comp, it's different if we're talking your private insurance. This is just for Social Security and SSI, okay? Are you working? If you look at the regulations, it's gonna say, if yes, you are not eligible to file. But I'm a lawyer and we make our living on exceptions. Thank God for exceptions, because there's a lot of exceptions to that, okay? So, generally speaking, if you're working, you're not disabled. That kind of makes sense, okay? Number 2, is your condition severe? For your purposes, if it's more than a hangnail, it's probably severe. It means it's a medical condition which impairs your ability to work. So even though you may not ultimately qualify, you got to get past that step 2 because you have something that impacts your ability to work. Now, I come here twice a year, and I see people with scleroderma and other conditions, and they're hanging in there, and I'm saying, I don't know how they do it. I have clients with far less who get disability for much less than some of the folks who I see every 6 months at this meeting, okay? God bless you. Some of you folks are really tough. I have some clients that aren't as tough, and they qualify. So certainly you all meet that step 2, whether or not you're interested in disability or not, okay? The next question is a really key one. And here's where I need guys like Dr. Spira, where I need their help, okay? Because all the lawyers in the world are fine, but none of us is as important in these types of cases as the doctor, okay? And what we basically do is we kind of identify for the doctor where we're going in a particular case, and then ask the doctor, do you have the goods to support this, okay? And it's something called the listings. And what you need to know is that scleroderma is a listed condition, and we're going to talk about that listing in a little bit. So if you